All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating and, honestly, totally terrifying case study derived from our source material. It's a story that perfectly maps out exactly how human arrogance can completely dismantle an ancient security system.
But before we really get into the weeds of what happened on this isolated rock, we need to ask ourselves a pretty fundamental question. What actually happens when human greed blinds us to ancient warnings? Keep that in the back of your mind, because what starts out as this foolish, half-baked treasure hunt rapidly evolves into an absolute masterclass in supernatural containment failure.
Section 1, the law of survival, the cursed ecosystem.
To truly grasp the scale of this tragedy, we first have to look at the brutal ecosystem of the island itself. Out here, survival of the fittest isn't just a concept. It is the absolute, unquestionable law. The source material establishes this foundational rule right out of the gate by detailing this relentless, hyper-aggressive food chain. An ant gets eaten by a frog, the frog gets swallowed by a snake, the snake is killed by a mongoose, which is then hunted by a lion, only for that lion to be completely tossed aside by an elephant. It brilliantly sets the stage. It tells us right from the start that the humans arriving on these shores, they aren't explorers or conquerors. They are literally just prey.
And talk about a rude awakening, right? This is where the dramatic irony of our case study really kicks in. A group of wealthy passengers rolled up to this island totally expecting to find a king's buried treasure, just unimaginable wealth. But the reality waiting for them in the dirt was far, far more sinister. Instead of gold, they unearthed an ancient demonic curse sealed tightly within an iron coffin.
Section 2, the catalyst, a fatal detour.
It's honestly crazy how this played out. A stranded passenger ship became the literal perfect delivery system for a disaster, all thanks to a highly methodical, yet completely foolish procedure engineered by the passengers themselves. Step 1. They actually believe a baseless WhatsApp rumor about hidden gold. I mean, come on. Step 2, and this is an act of staggering arrogance, one of the girls actually drugs the ship's crew by lacing their food, forcing the ship to drop anchor near the island. And Step 3, they sneak ashore and dig up a forbidden grave. They perfectly, step-by-step, engineered their own doom. So the ship's captain finally regains his senses, heads ashore to scout the terrain, and immediately senses this dark, predatory energy pulsing from the island. He heads back and slaps a strict quarantine order on the passengers, looking them in the eye and saying, "None of you will leave this ship." But as we all know from human nature, arrogance almost always ignores logical warnings. The passengers just sneak right off into the jungle anyway. Okay, this is the crucial point where the tension absolutely shatters. During the captain's scouting mission, he stumbles upon the horrific remains of the first victim, the boyfriend who initially dug the hole. And guys, he hasn't just been killed. He's been reduced to a fresh human skeleton, completely covered in flesh-eating larvae. The captain realizes right then and there, this island's ecosystem doesn't just kill you, it consumes flesh at supernatural speeds.
Section 3, unearthing the curse, breaking quarantine.
As we move deeper into the island's interior, the psychological horror really dials up. The captain is tracking these missing passengers through the dark jungle, and he notices the environment is just littered with these intensely unsettling artifacts. We're talking demonic servants. These are supernatural entities trapped inside hand-carved wooden and cloth voodoo dolls, staring out with these hollow, white-painted eyes. They aren't just creepy jungle decorations. They serve as an ancient supernatural security system for the cursed grounds. They're watching the intruders' every single move.
And this is where our explainer takes a genuinely horrifying turn. The consequences of their trespassing are revealed in just the most visceral, shocking way possible. One of the missing passengers, a young boy, crawls out of the dense bushes toward his friends. But when he finally lifts his head, they see his eyes. They've been completely gouged out. Possessed, bleeding, and with his head swiveling unnaturally toward the survivors, despite, having no eyes, the boy delivers this chilling prophecy. Neither sun will rise nor darkness will fade. He tells them they're all gonna die one by one, and actually begs to be killed just to escape the pain. It's the ultimate signal that the normal rules of nature have completely broken down here. The physical manifestation of this curse is rapidly destroying the boy from the inside out. He clutches his stomach, and to the absolute horror of everyone watching, he vomits up a massive swarm of those flesh-eating larvae. Faced with this grotesque biological threat literally spreading right before his eyes, the captain makes a brutal split-second call. He draws his weapon and ends the boy's misery, purely to stop the immediate spread of the parasites.
Section 4. The Witch's Vengeance. The Ancient Truth.
Deep in the jungle, the captain finally finds the girl who orchestrated this whole disastrous trip. She's standing completely catatonic inside the open grave, and nearby he spots a discarded, dirty cloth bearing a terrifying Sanskrit warning. It translates to, "If the blindfold is removed, the demon awakens." This physical piece of evidence, it's the master key to the entire disaster. These intruders didn't just dig up a box of loot. They popped the lock on a supernatural seal. To truly understand this curse, we have to look back at its origins. Centuries ago, a dark witch who worshipped a demon was extorting the local kingdom. On the day of a solar eclipse, she sacrificed 4 children. The king immediately captured her and handed down a sentence. But her imprisonment had to be incredibly specific. She was sentenced to be buried alive in an iron coffin for eternity. Now, you might be wondering, why such a specific punishment? Well, this brilliantly illustrates what we'll call the rule of the gaze. The witch claimed that whatever her dying look touched would be cursed forever. If they burned her, the curse would just spread through the smoke. If they drowned her, it would poison the entire ocean. So the ancient king came up with a brilliant logistical solution to neutralize this supernatural biological weapon. He had her blindfolded, bound, dragged to a remote island, and buried alive in that iron coffin. That way, her dying gaze fell on absolute darkness. The curse was safely contained.
Section 5. The Final Sacrifice. A Fatal Containment.
And here we are at the harrowing climax, where modern greed officially short-circuits an ancient, carefully designed containment system. Standing right by the open grave, the captain explicitly connects their human flaw to the supernatural punishment. He confronts the girl who plotted all this, telling her flat out, "Chasing WhatsApp rumors and drugging the crew for some gold led you all straight to your own graves." It's a stark, brutal reminder of her fatal error.
Bam! The punishment is immediate. In a terrifying flash of violence, demonic hands literally erupt from the dirt of the grave and pull the girl alive right into the earth. And when the captain looks down into the iron coffin, the horrifying truth sets in. The corpse of the ancient witch is completely gone. The real threat is loose. As the captain is sprinting through the deadly jungle, back toward his ship, desperately dodging supernatural horrors, we have to stop and ask ourselves practically, how on earth can an entity whose power is based entirely on sight leave an island that has no civilization and no way to cross the ocean?
It hits the captain like a freight train as he runs. The witch's spirit needs a human vessel. Specifically, she needs to hide within the vision of a living host to carry her cursed gaze across the water and back to the mainland. The captain realizes that as long as he has his sight, he is the vehicle for a literal global catastrophe.
Which brings us to the climax of the source material. The captain's lone crewmate is waiting anxiously back on the ship, but the visual of the captain's return is completely unexpected and deeply unsettling. It instantly replaces any relief of survival with this profound, sinking dread. He stands before his crewmate, his face completely covered in blood, and he's wearing the ancient blindfold. And that leaves us with our final, shocking takeaway. To ensure the demonic gaze could never leave the island, the captain took a knife and permanently blinded himself. The ultimate price to correct the fatal arrogance of those passengers was the hero's very own sight. He orders his crewmate to send an emergency message to the Coast Guard and steer the ship as far away as possible. It leaves us with a haunting question to ponder long after this explainer ends. When modern greed unearths ancient evils, who is truly left to pay the ultimate price?